Hey there guys, real quick, this is the Elder Dadless, co-host of the Dadless Podcast. Today, I'm here to tell you a little something about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me go ahead and explain. First of all, it is free, there's no upfront cost, it doesn't cost anything. It's a great way to get started. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Literally, if you're on the go, if you're at school, if you are hiding in the restroom while you're at work, if you're stalking your ex-girlfriend, you can literally make a podcast from anywhere. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other streaming platforms. Hey, great way to get it out, right? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means that your Uncle Randy, who was twice removed, can help you make a buck. Or creepy Father John, who you chose to stop talking to for many reasons, can even help you make a buck. It's that simple. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is anchor.fm. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get back to the show.
Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good. What is this? Are you trying to trick me?
Wait, just wait.
When's it get good?
What's up there, little homie? About ready to do this?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
In this world, if you can't swim, you found the dress out. And if you fall, you better pick your punk ass up. That's right. And the rest of y'all,
Wanda, the ready?
don't cut him no slack.
Hey, Freak Joe, you're going nowhere.
One.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of lead time.
You got no backup here.
I'm calling Veronica. Veronica, give me a hand.
Y'all fools get busy.
3.
Clobbering time.
We're back. Back in the saddle again. Hey there, how's it going? I am the Elder Dadless, one of several, and today I am joined once again with a lovely beef steak of a man. You know him, you love him, the great communicator himself, Jose the Dad.
Howdy, partner.
I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode. We got some pretty good feedback from it. Before we actually got into the episode, while I was checking the levels for about a fucking hour, we brought up the fact that it's kind of irritating that, and this is several things that I'm going to touch on, but it's pretty irritating when you have kids now that are like, oh, you know, Pokemon X and Y got me in the game. I'm like, you fucking whore. I've been in this for a while. Like, I don't know any of the new Pokemon's fucking names. I refuse to learn them. Why? Because they're not fucking important to me.
Nah, man, it kills me. It's like, you know, when you were younger and you played Pokemon, you know, Ruby or Red or, you know, Silver, whichever one, you know, Gens 1 through 3, you know, they had like someone called, you know, veteran Pokemon trainer. They're like old farts. They're like 40, 50-year-old, you know, dudes. That's not really old, but in Pokemon, that's old because you're a 10-year-old. And you got like, you're a 10-year-old, you're playing through, you're kicking ass, you're destroying everybody. You have an Elite Four that have trained their entire lives playing Pokemon or, you know, raising Pokemon, got a champion. And then this 10-year-old kid comes in and he's like, fuck you, I got a level 100 Charizard, you know, like whatever. And then you just get demolished. That's what I feel like. That's us now, you know. We spent our whole lives playing Pokemon. We're supposed to be the pros, the masters. We've been, you know, playing since before they were swimming in ball sacks, and then they're 10 years old, but they have all the time on their hands. They have all the YouTube tutorials on IV and EV training, and, you know, back in our day, EV training was, do I want a Vaporeon or how do I get a Glaceon? And now it's like, well, you have to beat like level 10 Zubats for like an hour straight, and that's gonna give you perfect attack. And it's like, what's going on there?
We had a friend. This was when Black and White dropped. We had a friend that was for months trying to breed the perfect like Emolga.
Emolga. Oh yeah, the little flying Pikachu.
Yeah.
Flying Pichu looking one.
And we're like, why? And he was like, bro, why not? It's a fucking tank. I'm like, dude, we're fucking like 20. We're like, well, what? This is like, I don't know what year fucking Black and White came out, but we were like, you know, a year or two out of high school. We're just now starting to like drive around and fucking do stuff. And our friend's like obsessing over it. He's like, dude, I traded a kid in Japan. Look, it's a perfect fucking Emolga. I was like, my guy, I remember when I fucking got a Donphan egg the first time. That was amazing to me. I was like, my guy, I don't care.
Masingo.
Oh, dude, talking about missing no. Did you ever try to catch one?
Yes, all the time.
And did it fuck up your game?
No, it turned into like a Kangaskhan if you like leveled it up or something
Yeah.
like that. It never messed up my games.
I always wondered if that was real or not. Because
No, I was reckless. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna catch this thing.
I had plenty of friends that were like, no, you can't catch it. It'll fuck your game up.
I have 130 Master Balls. Why am I not gonna catch it?
It's like, I have 100 rare candies. What do you mean? Dude, that used to be the shit.
I know, dude.
Gold and silver had, you could give a rare candy to a Pokemon and you would switch boxes, and mid switch or something, you turn the game off and then turn it back on, and then it would multiply the candies, something like that. It was something weird, but kids don't fucking know about any of that shit now.
No, they have and you can't get away with that. If that same thing happened today, it'd be fixed in a patch and an update, you know? I miss the simplicity of video games. You pay X amount of dollars, you have everything that game has to offer, and that's it. And, you know, you find a glitch or a hack or something, cool, it's part of the game. Now you have DLC, you have patches, you have updates, you have everything has to be fucking multiplayer now. They try to turn Assassin's Creed multiplayer. I was like, it's not a multiplayer game. That's a game you sit down, you enjoy a storyline. That's what I liked about it. And then like Unity came out and it's like, oh, play with all your friends. We're gonna have so much fun. And it's like, I don't have any friends who like this game.
Like, I don't have any friends in general.
How am I gonna play?
My mom doesn't know how to play Xbox. That's so fucking funny.
So yeah, I miss those more simple times, and that applies to Pokemon. You know, back in the day, we had a glitch. You found it. You told all your buddies. Now it's like you have a YouTube video and it tells you, "Oh, this is how you hack this." But then by the time you watch it, it was uploaded like 6 months ago. They already fixed it. You can't do that either. Like it's gone.
Simpler times.
Yep.
Anyway.
Hey, real quick, before we get off the topic of Pokemon, I was a Pokemon drug dealer for a minute. Because before, this is kind of that sweet spot in between. I don't know if you remember, you could scan a QR code and it would mystery gift you whatever Pokemon that QR code had. It was like a hack. So I literally had every single Pokemon, and you can customize it how you wanted to. Like, you could go on this website and generate the code. If you wanted a level 100 shiny Mew, perfect stats and everything, and you scanned it, and it would give it to you. Now, obviously, it's not going to work in competitive play because it'll pick it up as a hacked Pokemon, but it's just fun to have, you know, the collection. So I'd be like on Facebook, like, I have 5 shiny Mews. Who wants one? I have perfect IV Dittos. Who's trying to pay $1?
Was this Pokemon Crater?
No, it was on, I had them all in Pokemon Omega Ruby. Actually, this was for the DS, the 3DS. You would scan with your DS a QR code, and I forgot the name of the website. It's fixed now. You can't do this anymore. But it was just really cool. Like, you had Volcanion before it was available, or whatever it's called, the Volcano Pokemon. I do remember Pokemon Crater though. I think they brought it back. It's like Pokemon Vortex now, or something like that.
Really, I remember that game was so packed that even with like the fastest internet at the time, it was so fucking hard to get in. And you would get in, And literally, the game itself, like the areas were basically just lobbies for everybody. And
There's a person on every spot.
yeah, every fucking spot. And you were like, what the fuck? Like, get off, bro. But it's like you could you would create like a perfect fucking Pokemon. Or I think at the time when we found it, what was it? Which game had Giratina?
That was Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
So at the time it was Diamond and Pearl, and you could get like, hey dude, message this guy, and he has, oh, you want a Dialga? Okay. Oh, you want Palkia? Okay. Oh, you want Giratina? Okay. But it was like, you could tell someone, hey, I have a golden Magikarp. You want it? It's random shit. Random shit.
And it's funny because now, I haven't checked recently, like within the last few months, but I know as recently as like Sun and Moon, the latest ones on the 3DS before it all switched to the Switch, people were selling Pokemon on Etsy. It was like Etsy was the Wayfair of Pokemon.
Weird.
You'd go on Etsy and it'd be like, buy a perfect IV Ditto for breeding. I did it. I paid this lady $3 for a 6 IV Ditto so that I could breed the perfect Pokemon as your friend was doing. Now, I didn't have the time to actually do it. I was like, you know what? If I give this lady $3, I lost $3. Like that's like a soda or something. No big deal, you know? But it worked. It was legit. And you can request other Pokemon. I don't know how she was doing it, but it worked. And yeah, I mean, there's like a Pokemon trafficking ring on Etsy if you're interested.
It sounds like if you went to a whorehouse, you're like, I mean, I went. I'm not proud of myself, but I did it. It was good. I would do it again. That's so fucking funny. Actually, to lead us into the questions, I have a nice icebreaker of the age-old question of starter Pokemon. Of the 3, Gen 1, who would you choose?
Old me would choose Charmander, but the internet has educated and enlightened me that the correct choice is Bulbasaur. So, a little bit of clarification here. Yes, it's overrated. Yes, everyone's favorite is the fire type, but to my defense, I've been a fire type favorite since Red and Blue. Like, I've always liked fire type. It was always Charmander, Cyndaquil, Blaziken, OG. Fucking love Blaziken still. My favorite all-time Pokemon, Arcanine, is fire type. Like, I've always loved fire. So it's not like, oh yeah, I love Charizard. Like, I fucking hate how much Charizard is shoved down your throat now. But Bulbasaur, 1, is advantageous. Type advantage for the first 3 gyms, and then 4th gym is grass on grass. So you get the advantage. Bulbasaur is slept on. Everyone kind of hates Bulbasaur, and like, he's a cute dude. Like, Bulbasaur's a cute little guy. Everyone, just kind of ignores him. Everyone loves Charizard or Blastoise. Everyone sleeps on Venusaur. Like, no one likes Venusaur. So
for me, Squirtle was always my go-to. And I like Blastoise. Blastoise was probably my favorite third evolution from Gen 1. Second, that actually was Bulbasaur, though, because I quickly found out the differences between type advantages just based off of yellow version. So once I got Red and Blue, quickly found out, hey, like if I have Water Gun or if I have Vine Whip, I'm getting through Brock like no fucking big deal.
Oh, you have Charmander, you're screwed.
You're fucked, dude.
You get to like level 16 to get Ember because nothing will work.
I have Scratch. You get through, but luckily, well, no, even then, even if you had Charizard in Gen 1, like, well, talking about Red and Blue, there's Bellsprouts around. Get a fucking Bellsprout. Vine Whip, what's up? Real quick, a little side note here. Talking about Charizard, the rapper Logic recently bought a Pokemon card, Charizard, bought the card for $183,000 at auction. And this is an article from Polygon.com. On Friday, a rare Charizard went up for auction called the Pokemon Trading Card Game's Crown Jewel by Iconic Auctions. The starting bid was set at $40,000. When the smoke cleared, the Gem Mint First Edition went for $183,812. The buyer, none other than rapper Logic. How do you like them apples? Bro, if I had if I even had that much money, if I had $200,000 to spend, I wouldn't buy a fucking Pokemon card.
Nah.
I feel like that is just a gross misuse of your fucking money.
At that point, it's like
That's...
I chalk up my losses because, dude, everyone had like the old school Pokemon cards. Like, you think about it, 20 years ago, we all had a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 Pokemon card in the Charizard, But all these cards get lost, get thrown away. Son del Diablo! Like, you can't get to keep them. You got to try and hide them, and then before you know it, cards are gone, and you only have like that one dude that's like, yeah, I still have my original collection.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on like $200,000.
Oh, easy. I know one guy from that I went to high school with that still has his binder, and he's like, I just have it in storage. And he was like, what do you think, I'm gonna fucking lose it? No. I was like, good for you, dude. Honestly, because if he ever needs to, like, money, easy money. Well, I don't know how easy like trading it or selling of the cards is, but
so I'm a different man now, but I'm not proud of this. All right, but I'll share it because it's an interesting story. Dollar Tree used to carry 3 packs of cards, right? So I allegedly would sometimes grab a pack or two and not pay for that pack or two. It was gradual. It was kind of like a slippery slope, And I felt like SpongeBob in that episode where they steal a balloon. Like, I had a decent stack built and actually got some decent cards out of it. I'd say I had maybe like 60 to 80 cards or so.
Yeah.
And then forgot what it was. It's like short of payday. I needed a couple extra bucks. So I threw it up on Facebook to see if anyone wanted to buy these cards, right? And a kid down the street, I knew his parents, like, I knew who they were. They're like, hey, my 10-year-old son wants to buy the cards. Do you mind if I come look at them? Or can he come look at them? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, So this 10-year-old kid is like, oh, yeah, they're good cards. Got $20 for a stack of cards that I didn't pay for.
We were about 19 maybe. There used to be a card shop here in Modesto called Cryers. It's no longer around.
Same age for me, by the way, but like 18, 19.
Yeah. Dude, we had our licenses, and this is like we were driving out, and this is like the dumb shit that we were doing, but we would avidly go out to Cryers like, a couple times a week. And we were all working. We would go after work, and basically during the week, like some of the days were dead other than when we would go on like tournament days, and it was packed. And they, on their counter, they had one whole side was sports memorabilia, and then the whole other side was trading card games, and it was like broken down by Magic, and like Pokemon was at the very end, Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know, whatever other bullshit in between, but Magic was like a big section, and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, Yu-Gi-Oh we had just gotten back into randomly. And they used to put out these trays that were like the value trays. And it was whole sleeves that were just cards, extra cards, doubles, triples, whatever. And it was 25 cents a card. We would fucking go and buy out whole sleeves of fucking cards. We would walk in, and there were some dudes who finally got familiar with us, and they were like, never mind. And I was like, oh, do you want a card? I was like, I'm buying the entire fucking tray. And we would just buy the whole tray, dude, and we would go and like just keep a few and come back and trade them back in. And we're like, oh, we didn't find anything. And then one day I went in after work, and I was actually on my way to I think my boy Monda's house, and this guy had just come in, and he brought in his old cards, and he's like, yeah, I got this and that, whatever. And guys were looking through him, and he's like, I have an Exodia, isn't that cool? And they were like, oh, we'll give you 80 for it. And I was like, I'll give you 80 right now. It's like, I'll give you fucking 80 right now. You couldn't even use it. At this point, they were using, oh fuck, I don't know, whatever.
Was it an Exodia like all 5 pieces, or was it like the one card? It was like
It's all 5 pieces of Exodia, all 5 pieces, all gem. And then you looked at the value of them, and if it wasn't like a specific year or some bullshit, like it wasn't worth any money. I mean, either way, you couldn't use it in competition because at this point, like a lot of those old cards that we know from like the show, fucking, they're worthless.
I don't even recognize it. I have another story after you finish yours here on Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, but that was just, my gross misuse of fucking money that I walked in and saw that this guy had Exodia and I bought it, and basically just because of nostalgia. I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna buy it. That was it.
And looking back, I'm like, dude, how fucking cheap was I that I couldn't pay the $1 or $2 for the fucking pack of cards? But again, not my proudest moment, but going on a Yu-Gi-Oh, there was a time Victor, the Nomad, he started picking up Yu-Gi-Oh cards again. Homeboy went out and bought, like, I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but bought a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I think he went out and bought like several of the collector's cases. Because
Yeah.
I remember he had like the god cards and stuff.
Yeah, homeboy was going ham.
Yeah, he did.
And Daniel, my younger brother, wanted to start getting back. So we all start kind of getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit. I buy like a structure deck, right? Like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I get like a Kaiba tin. I like Blue Eyes, so I started kind of going that route a little bit. At most, I put like maybe $40 or $50 back into reviving this nostalgia. My brother uses one of Victor's decks to duel me, kicks my ass. First time he's ever beaten me. And growing up, whatever games we would play, video games, card games, sports, whatever, I was always winning. I was the older brother. Had a bit of an ego for it. Homeboy humbled me real quick, and I'm like, oh, well, that's Victor's deck, right? And homeboy goes out, starts buying hella cards, outspends me like 4-1. I'd come to visit. He'd be like, hey, you want to duel? Because at the time I was living out of town. I'd be like, oh, sure, we'll duel, whatever. And then he'd kick my ass. So after like the second time, he's like, hey, you want to duel? I'm like, bro, it's pointless. Like, you win. I submit. Like, I'm not blowing. I'm not going to be paying $200-$300 to build a specific deck. Like, I'm chilling. I'm good. That's okay. You can use one of my decks. I'm like, that's kind of degrading. Like, your little brother. Like, oh, it's okay. You can use my materials for me to kick your ass.
He was like, I get it. You're a second-rate duelist with a third-rate deck.
He used that. He used that line on me, dude. He did.
Oh
he used those exact lines on me, and he starts talking about all the new styles, the XYZ cards. I got to like synchro summons, and that was kind of getting confusing.
So that's when I started picking it up. At the time when we started picking up cards again, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's when all that stuff started coming out. Synchro summons.
And it was Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds.
Yes.
I watched a little bit of that one.
Yes.
It's kind of cool. It's a different concept, right? It's introducing something different. Up to that point, it all been pretty similar. It'd been, monsters, spells, traps. Now you have XYZ, you have Pendulum, you have all these different...
Racing?
Something like that.
They were like race car drivers?
5Ds, they were racing, yeah.
Yeah.
But now they have all kinds of different styles. I don't know how to play them. And I get my ass kicked. Like, if I were to try and duel how I knew how to duel,
back
I'm lost
in the day,
with the times. I got swept away.
So that's where it was. Like, when we started again, like, we were trying to play just, like, fucking, like, we try to step back in time and we're playing, like, our way. And it's funny because my boy Mondo and his brother, they still had a lot of their old... It's funny enough, they've always held on to just older things that like you really can't find anymore, and so they still have a lot of their old stuff, and that's where we were like reading the rule book for the original, like the Gen 1 series and stuff, and we were trying to play that way, and then we started going to these card shops, and Crier specifically was like, oh, it's like Gen 12 .7.
Oh
the,
man.
the updated user manual, and we're like, we don't fucking get anything that's going on. And we're like, can we not use any of these anymore? And they're like, no, it's trash. I was like, well, there goes that idea.
Yeah, man, it's kind of sad because like it's stuff that we grew up with, stuff that we like, that if we try and be nostalgic with, step back into, we get swept away because it's continued the entire time that we've grown up, and these younger generations have picked it up, and they've changed things up for the younger generations, and that's what's like standard now. So if it's Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever it is, we're getting our asses handed to us by 10, 12-year-old kids because we're stuck in our ways. We're stuck with the old times, and it's like adapt or die, and we're like, oh, you young whippersnappers, have a blue eyes, and it'll kick your ass. And they're like, yeah, I got this trap card that turns my trap card into a monster card, and it's going to have 2.5 times your attack points minus your life points and all kinds of calculations like fucking algebra. And then it's like, I use trap hole. Like, trap hole's illegal. Mirror force. I'm an old man.
They're like, illegal. None of that works. They're like, your whole deck does not work.
They're acting like Donald Trump and Yu-Gi-Oh. That's illegal. You can't use that here. That's illegal.
That's not good.
I use my trap card. Build the wall. Get the fuck out of my store.
Oh, that's so funny.
I use my spell card.
False,
Presidency.
false COVID. I kicked it in 2 days. It wasn't that big a deal. I'm ready to kiss everybody on the lips.
My opponents think that I have COVID, and then they attack me for it, and then I come out. Surprise! I didn't have COVID. I had USA. It's in my DNA.
Ghislaine Maxwell, I wish you the best. I've never been to Epstein's Island. I don't know who that is.
Long live Epstein.
I miss him. I miss you, Poppy. So, in relation to the idea of, as far as like nostalgia for card games, something I was thinking of, I remember back in the day when being into like manga and anime was like a big downer. Like you were fucking stupid if you were into that shit.
Tomato, potato, potato, manga.
Oh, dude, okay. So that's a thing. That's a thing. I am definitely like a habitual line stepper when it comes to that. I literally will say, I've never once have I fucking said anime. I will not.
I've never heard anyone say
anime.
that.
Oh, dude, I've had a few fucking cucks come out and be like,
it's probably the weebs that are also like when they come up to you, Ohayo gozaimasu.
yeah. So, I respect that. I do it in my fucking head or like when I'm alone, but like I'm a big fan of Japanese culture. I've been a big fan of Japanese culture for years now, since I was a kid. Obviously, because when you're a kid, when you grow up in a Spanish household, a lot of the cartoons that you're watching are fucking anime.
On Telemundo.
Yeah, and you're watching like Knights of the Zodiac,
Dragon Ball Z.
God damn.
I watched Cell Standoff during the Cell games, all in Spanish. That was my first exposure to Dragon Ball Z. Was Cell contemplating how he was going to kill everyone in Spanish.
So hold on to that. You were watching shows like so like Knights of the Zodiac, Sailor Moon, things like Astro Boy, Ninja Scroll, like random. It was a lot of anime that was dubbed in Spanish. So it's always been around for me. But to touch on that, one of the very first, it wasn't an episode, it was a movie, but I watched Dragon Ball Z exposure. My very first exposure to Dragon Ball Z was in Spanish. It was, have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone? The movie?
Dead Zone?
It was one of the movies.
Which one's that one?
With Garlic Jr.?
Yes.
So that was the very first movie that I watched. And then years later, I came across it at a yard sale, and I bought it, and I realized real quick, like, the English version of it. I was like, holy shit, this is that movie. This is that thing that I used to watch that I haven't seen in a while. And then this was like, I I don't know. I'm a fucking kid. And then this wasn't until like 3rd grade or 4th grade maybe that I found it at a yard sale, and I started watching it, and I was like, holy shit, I've seen this before. Like, I know exactly what this is. So, but that was the very first exposure that I ever saw. And then, I know at some point I saw Dragon Ball as a kid, but it wasn't until maybe like the 6th grade that I saw Dragon Ball again, like in English. Once I started finding things dubbed.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, we used to have a Suncoast Video at the mall, and I found out about their anime section, and then it was like all from there. That's when I started like avidly buying anime.
Anime section or 18+ anime section?
The hentai section, like Ninja Love. You ever heard of Ninja Love?
No.
I think that one is Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Moon Z was Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball.
The most ambitious crossover of all time
was there's another one that was real fucked up. But
it's hentai. You're already
this was like early.
Fucked up is a given.
This was like early internet ones, like when you like you were finding out about like Urban Dictionary and stuff. But one of the more ambitious, like the ones that you would find out about on the internet, and you were like, what the fuck, this is real? No, there is an anime though. If you like anime, if you like fucking Asians,
senpai,
there is a movie called Legend of the Overfiend that is real fucking gory, like action horror anime. But there's all types of like real adult shit that goes on, and I found that out like real quickly watching it. I was like, wow, this is real cool. And then this guy's like the main protagonist turns into a kind of demon, and like the only way to satiate his hunger is to play.
Oni-chan.
He's over here like boning people to death.
What?
It's
you and I forgot who. I think it was you and possibly it was in the group chat. You guys were saying you were telling me watch the first episode of Goblin Slayer.
Amazing.
With the ma in the room.
Amazing.
Obviously, I didn't do that because I knew it was going to be some fucked up shit. But
did you ever watch Goblin Slayer?
I watched the first episode with Celeste. Celeste being my fiance.
Easily sets the tone of whether or not you're going to keep watching it or not.
Oh my god, that episode was. I was going to expect something bad, but I did not expect
it. So
what comes from that episode.
It really varies. Like it tells a lot of like. Not your character, because it's not like you're like into fucking, wild shit like that, but it was very metal to me. Like seeing it, I was like, what the fuck, dude? And not because of that, but I was like, this show's going to be hard as fuck. Like the imagery itself was very like, like old school metal, like real just fucking like scenes of intense violence and shit. I was like, wow.
More than violence.
Oh no, more than violence. More than violence. I'm not even going to mention.
I don't know how it was on Crunchyroll.
I'm not even going to mention what it is. If you haven't seen Goblin Slayer yet, go and watch Goblin Slayer. The very first episode. Thank me later.
Watch it with your parents in the room.
Watch it with your parents. Make sure it's on a Sunday. Make sure all you guys are together at the dinner table.
The day of Sabbath. The Lord's Day.
The Lord's Day. Make sure it's
volume up, windows open, so your neighbors can hear what you're watching.
Surround sound. I know your dad. If you have a real cool dad and he has surround sound that fucker.
It'll be unique experience.
You will enjoy it.
I didn't finish the show. We watched episode 1, and then it was like, I mean, the story can actually take off from it. Not giving any spoilers, but I was like, oh wow, the story can take off surprisingly after what we've just witnessed. But I just never finished it because we had other animes to watch, and I just snuck it in there like, hey, let's check this out real quick.
You're like, hey, let's take a trip down this lane that I was introduced to. But anyway, to circle back around.
Circle back, yeah.
To call back the original, what we were talking about. I remember when it was real uncool to fucking like anime and manga.
Oh yeah.
But now it's a part of like normal culture. Like people use it as I don't know. I don't know when the fuck it was that I saw this, but it was like a lot of rappers are into fucking anime now, whereas back in the day, like,
This is gonna sound not PC, but you have to be a special kind of weird now to be called a weird kid. Because back in our day, anime made you weird, Pokemon made you weird. Like, anything nerdy at all made you weird, or it made you a nerd, and you got picked on for it. Nowadays, kids can be like, or, you know, back in our day, if you were gay, you got clapped on so hard for that. Nowadays, it's like, you're gay? Oh, no problem. And that's good. You know, that's good for kids. Or like, but, you know, like, oh, I like anime. Oh, that's cool. I like anime too. Or, you know, oh, I like this. And it's like, oh, no, that's cool. You know, like, you have to really be into some weird shit now to be called a weird kid, because what was weird for us is now openly acceptable.
so I will honestly say, as far as like being nerdy goes, and I was just thinking about this today. There's a fine line in being a nerd, as far as using nerd culture as the umbrella term that I want to of what I'm trying to convey to you. It's like nerd culture, you're into comics and movies and graphic novels, you're into anime, you're into manga, you know, this that the other. But till this day, there is a very fine line to being a nerd and liking pro wrestling. That is the one caveat there, that it's like, you're a fucking loser if you like pro wrestling, but you're also a nerd. There's like a very fine line there. And I think it's so weird that you're almost like people like frown upon it. They're like, oh man, you like fucking Nene Princess Tokyo Octopus bitch, but you also like wrestling.
Get out of here, loser.
Yeah, go kick rocks. Kick rocks down the street, you fucking hack. But I feel like it's socially acceptable now to be a fucking nerd. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But I remember when it wasn't.
I think the internet has a lot to do with that. I think the internet nerds kind of came out in strong numbers. People weren't embarrassed to admit they like nerdy things because the internet helps you kind of, you know, hide a little bit. So I think the internet coming around helped everyone be more open about enjoying nerdy things. And then it just kind of became more acceptable in person, to where now, because kids live on the internet, and on the internet being nerdy is cool, because that was the escape for nerds back then. That was, I guess you could say, the word safe space. You know, you'd go online, you'd go on Reddit, you'd go on MySpace, you'd go on YouTube. It was all nerd shit. And so now that, like, kids live on the internet where nerds are accepted, I feel like that's played a big role in nerd culture being more acceptable today.
I would say it's also in addition to, like, the marketability of nerd culture.
We spend fucking money.
It's money. It's definitely money. And it's funny because you have people, for example, like within the movie industry, that are like, film is dead, but you're quick to sign on to a fucking Marvel movie, or you sign a contract for Marvel because you're going to make fucking bank. But it's like, you know, you have people on the one hand that are like, well, what happened to, you know, real cinema, whatever. And then you have people that are like, hey, you know what? They're giving me like $1 billion to be, you know, fucking Cloak and Dagger for the next 3 years. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, where do you, like, to me, because and this is from like a very biased fucking point of view, I find nothing wrong with nerd culture, but I get so fucking mad that it's like there are actors that take the roles as jobs without knowing the lore or the literature, or, you know.
I understand, yeah. Well, I think that's funny because two of the most iconic nerd franchises in the last, I was going to say last decade, but it was even the decade before that, kind of, you know, last 5 years, they haven't really been prominent, but, I mean, they always stay prominent, but Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. You have Elijah Wood, face of Lord of the Rings, you know, Frodo, whatever. Homeboy finished those 3 movies, and he started doing weird indie shit. Wanted nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, like. And then Daniel Radcliffe, same thing. Like, he's Harry fucking Potter, and then now anything he does, Celeste and I will joke about it. We'll be like, his first movie after Harry Potter was like Lady in the Water or Lady in the Woods or something like that. And we were like, oh, Harry Potter 8. Harry and the crazy bitch in the lake, some stuff like that. He hates it, but he's doing weird indie shit. So these prominent actors that are faces of franchises grow weary of carrying that fame. They want to distance themselves from it as much as they possibly can.
Well, you know who's like big examples of that subject in general is
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson and Homegirl from Twilight. They literally were like, Robert Pattinson, it took forever for him to break out of that fucking position of not even Cedric Diggory, but of old
Edward Cullen.
There you fucking go. And an old girl who was other bitch in Twilight. But
Kristen Stewart as Bella Swan.
She literally faded into obscurity only to settle in like indie movies and stuff to to move away from that character and to preserve herself as an actress and whatever. But
hey, one is recovering their career much better than the other.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Kristen Stewart was in like the newest remake of Charlie's Angels.
Dang.
And then you got Robert Pattinson. Homeboy's getting the hype train for everybody on that new Batman movie. He's got that new Netflix movie that looks really interesting with Tom Holland that I haven't watched yet, that I've been meaning to get around to.
He was in The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe.
Guy's killing it.
Great.
Great. And I actually don't ask me how I found a fucking article on it, but he was saying how when he signed on to Twilight, at that point he'd only done indie movies, and the director for Twilight was an indie filmmaker at the time, and Kristen Stewart had only really done indie films, so he was trying to be more under the radar kind of guy when he signed on to Twilight, not knowing what it would turn into, and he fucking hated every second of it. He hated being a fucking shiny vampire.
Well, that's like a majority of those people really like. I mean, I can't speak to like the majority of the cast because I don't even know their fucking names, honestly. But
I'm ashamed to admit that I know. I'll tell you the cast.
So okay, so Edward's dad, or his dad, air quotes.
Carlisle. I don't know the actor's name, but that's one good looking motherfucker. I'll give him that.
He's actually like a pretty like prominent actor. He's been around for a while. He's one of those gatekeeper actors that's been in a good amount of stuff to where you could look past that.
Yeah.
The same for the mom. For the Edward Cullen's mom.
Esme, but I don't know the actress's name.
Okay, but her as well. And then randomly the Jock brother in Twilight.
Emmett is his name. I don't remember the actor's name, but I know he did a Hercules movie where there was a movie where he was like Poseidon. He's done some other stuff.
I went and watched that movie where he was Poseidon. That was actually pretty good. I like that movie.
Immortals, I think.
Immortals,
is what it was.
Yes, that was dope. That was a dope movie.
That was a trippy ass ending.
That was a dope movie.
I enjoyed it.
But he's done. I know I've seen him in action movies.
Yeah.
But it's like, then again, it's like, are you typecasting because of his build and the way he looks? Like, are you basically like the Jason Momoa kind of roles where it's like, look at Jason Momoa, look at Khal Drogo, and
everything's been the same. After.
Everything's basically been like, Aquaman, which could have been much better, but it was terrible.
I just want to call out Amber Heard. You're a terrible person. Johnny Depp for life.
You shit on a bed, you bitch. Amber Turd, you fuck.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Thunder.
Thunder buddies.
Thunder buddies.
Johnny Depp buddies. Captain Jack Sparrow, bring him back.
Honestly, side note, Johnny Depp, in my eyes, can do no wrong. And this fool is Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss to anything Johnny Depp touches. Homeboy, he's definitely on my all-time favorite actors. If not the number one spot, definitely top 3.
He's up there for me. I wouldn't give him number one.
So I haven't had time to think it over. So
I feel like he's a really pretentious fucking guy. But,
oh yeah.
He's definitely a golden goose. You know what I mean? He's a good actor. But it's like a lot of these roles, especially with like Johnny Depp. I think recently I read an article where it's like I think he's even getting into like the superhero fucking movies. But like as Grindelwald, he's a great method actor. He's a great character actor. Johnny Depp fits in a lot of these fucking roles. But again, to call back to like the typecasting, you look at Homeboy, that was Emmett, and it's like I've only seen him in like action movies.
Yeah.
At that, like red box action movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what else he's been in. Other than the actresses, I really don't know what they've been in. Kristen Stewart, yeah, she was in Charlie's Angels recently, and that like tanked. To my understanding, it could have been better. I don't know. I've never watched it. I have no, like, I don't care to watch it.
I'll be honest. If a movie, like sometimes, movies in theaters, you just don't get a chance to watch it. You'll catch it later on when it's, available on Amazon or Redbox or, however else you choose to watch your movies.
Illegally.
But when a movie like that comes out and it doesn't do well, and like after a week of not doing well at the box office, Hollywood and everyone shouts, "It's because they're females. Oh my God, America's not ready for feminism." Like, oh my God, I hate that. They did that with the Ghostbusters movie with an all-female cast. They did that with Charlie's Angels. Olivia Munn did a movie recently, the Booksmart. It was like two teenage girls, basically female Superbad. And these movies, they won't do well at the box office, and then everyone blames it on it's because they're women. But it's like, give people time to watch the movie. That's I don't like. So that's why I didn't watch it. But
honestly, I feel like right now, like I guess like the political climate of where we're at in society, I honestly like I said, I don't care to watch Charlie's Angels. I get that it's like an all a woman fucking led cast and whatever. That's fine, dude.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
And neither do I.
I don't care. But if it's a good movie, it's going to be a good movie. If it's not a great movie, if you can see holes in the movie, okay.
Exactly.
Look at I watched. It took me a minute, but I ended up coming around to watching the Suicide Squad movie with not Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn.
With Margot Robbie.
With Margot Robbie and basically like the female cast as well.
Yeah.
It was, to me, it was like a whiff. It was a total whiff. Like you threw it straight down the pipe, and then right at the end, it just ping, and and it went over my head. And
movies that are made, with a certain demographic, like all female movies, or there's really good examples of of what you just said. A movie's going to be good or it's going to be bad, regardless of your intentions behind the casting. Crazy Rich Asians. All Asian cast.
I heard that movie's great.
Fantastic fucking movie.
I was going to say, I've never seen it, but I heard it's fucking great.
I love that fucking movie. I can rewatch that movie and not get tired of it. And it's probably more of a chick flick type movie, but it's got really good humor in it. It's got a really solid cast. I really enjoyed the movie. And look at Black Panther, and that's really prominent right now. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Really, really liked him as an actor, not just for Black Panther, but Black Panther had an all African American cast, and that movie was fucking A1.
I feel like, and not to say that like I get it. It was a great movie. It was amazing. It was an amazing movie. It was weaponized.
You think so?
It was fucking definitely weaponized. It was weaponized because of, again, the political climate, and people were like, it went from being a fucking normal movie. It went from being Black Panther, who's been around for fucking years now, who was around well before the fucking Black Panther Party, and people were like, fuck yeah, this is an uprising for African Americans, and we have a hero. He's fucking been around. You just never were into fucking superheroes again.
Yeah, dude. Blade. What's his name?
Blade was the first and the fucking best African American superhero, and so we get, like I fucking said, unless we get Luke Cage, hero for fucking hire, and you do him right and you do him correctly, Luke motherfucking Cage is the best. Second that, Blade. But as of right now, Blade is the number one fucking African American Marvel hero that we've seen on screen.
What's the actor's name again? The one who plays Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. Yeah, he was going to be the original Black Panther. They were looking at. He was trying to get a Black Panther movie made back in the 2000s, back in the 90s.
He has his own production studio,
and it was like in the works, and then it got axed because at the time, hero movies weren't really doing that well. This was before the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. Great news on that front.
Which we're confirmed.
Too many tangents here.
No, I know.
So many tangents to go off on.
It's a good thing we're just talking about nerd shit. So that's good.
Yeah, nerd episode. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield signed on for Spider-Man 3. Super excited. It's hype. Let's go.
Buddy.
Just had to throw that in there. But yeah, no. So Wesley Snipes tried to make a Black Panther movie before superhero movies were prominent, and so I mean, yeah, to your point, it's been around before then. It's not. The political climate did definitely take advantage of it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, regardless of the cast or the reasons, if a movie is good, it's going to be good. If it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. And it doesn't matter who's cast or for what reasons. A movie is good or a movie is bad. It's as simple as that.
Big example of a movie, and this is, again, talking about the demographic of where the movie is aimed. Suicide Squad was not a great fucking movie. In all honesty, to me, as a fan of comic book movies, it was a real fucking tanker. It's like a fuck. I would give it a 5.
I'm so disappointed that in this golden age of superhero movies and nerd culture being so fucking profitable, Marvel sky high. I don't think they're going to be building the same hype with Endgame being over. People will still watch, but that build-up is gone. Like, what else are you going to do? The big three are gone. DC has failed to capitalize on this, trend or this profit, this market. They reboot their movies. They're trash. They don't make them well, or it's a decent movie, but it's not a great movie. Batman versus Superman had so much fucking potential, and then in the movie, spoiler alert.
Why did you say that name?
Shit's the bed.
Why did you say that name?
And it's like, that's what stops the fucking fight? Just a fucking coincidence? Like, that shit was fucking... It was bad. And they need, honestly, even with the Snyder Cut, just reset the whole fucking thing again. Marvel is kind of on its way downhill. Pick up some of those actors. Pick up the Russo brothers.
I would have to disagree with you.
You think so?
I would really have to disagree with you. A while back, and I mentioned it in an Eldercast that it was one of the last, I think, Eldercast 7 that I did. Touched on it a little bit. DC recently did their DC fandom or their fan something or other. Basically, their virtual con that they did for DC fans. And they presented the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
I will say that looks incredible.
It looks great.
I'm so fucking excited.
It looks cool. The way that they break it down, it's like Batman Year One. So it's going to be really gritty. It's going to touch on DC as like DC detective comics of like when Batman was a fucking detective. And these are like the early years of Batman, which sounds fucking great. You have Colin Farrell as Penguin. You have a Riddler who we don't know who it is yet, but Riddler himself, based on the trailer, looks like a fucking killer. Looks dope.
I just need to see DC do a character better other than Batman. Because Batman's always been pretty profitable, pretty good. Dark Knight, Batman's always been pretty well done by DC. It's pretty much everyone else that, in my opinion, needs to
honestly,
step
up. And I've said it to Vic. I've said it to the Nomad before, and, I honestly think as much as Batman is the bread and butter of DC, totally biased, I really am only invested in Batman. There's only so much DC that I'm into. There are certain things that pop up that pique my interest, Batman being one of them. Chris Nolan is and was the fucking daddy for Batman with DC moving forward within a newer age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being that we're getting out of the demographic of the 90s where we had Michael Keaton, the best Batman, Val Kilmer, subpar Batman, George Clooney, nipple Batman, But Chris Nolan was the closest that we've gotten to a real fucking gritty, like a raw Batman. But with the addition of Robert Pattinson Batman and the way that it's broken down and the way the story looks so far, I'm fucking like, I'm Team DC, like, for that matter. And then with the addition of like Black Adam coming out, and it's not really Black Adam, but it's the inclusion of the JSA being like Hawkman and Dr. Fate, which is fucking crazy, and some of the other, like I think Adam or Captain Adam, some bullshit like that. But they're like lesser known characters that were in like Justice League, and like Batman Brave and the Bold, like, you know, series that we had when we were kids.
Yeah.
It's like lesser known guys.
Well, and I'm excited. I will say I'm excited for Batman with Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson looks like he could be an incredibly successful Batman. I like him as an actor. You know, don't judge him on Twilight. Judge him on his other films. He's a very, very good actor, and I think he would do the role justice.
That was great.
I think he'll do the role justice, and you know, but
then that makes me think of Vernon Dursley when he said that to Harry and like Order of the Phoenix, justice. You know what I'm talking about? He was eating like ice cream, and Harry got denied.
Oh no, yeah, that's which one is that? I'm pretty sure is that Chamber of Secrets? No, it's when he used magic.
That's why it's like Order of the Phoenix, maybe.
It might be Half-Blood Prince, but I know which one you're talking
close.
about.
Yeah,
where he's like, he gets the Howler from the government.
Yeah.
You know, due to the it is Order of the Phoenix with the Dementor, and he gets the Howler, and it's like it's telling him like, you perform the Patronus charm in the presence of a Muggle. You are hereby expelled, and then it like rips up, and then he's all fucking
Vernon Dursley,
so
he's
fucking heavy. He's like, justice.
That's so fucking cool.
But you know, I digress. Yeah, I am excited for Robert Pattinson to be Batman, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I really enjoy him as a person, as an actor. You know, he has some hit or miss movies, but I am kind of excited to see how he will do as a superhero. So the future of DC looks much brighter than the past for me.
To tag on the subject of Black Adam, I get that it's Dwayne Johnson. I get that he is The Rock, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
I smell what he's cooking.
Because it is The Rock, with the idea of perching the movie of Black Adam on top of The Rock, could that possibly blow the movie? Because you're putting all your eggs in the basket of it's like The Rock. This is Black Adam, but it's The Rock.
That is the problem with, actually, now that you mention it, prominent actors taking a role. Can you focus more on the role than the actor? A lot of superheroes weren't super well known before they became superheroes. Chris Evans, you know, was an actor, but you didn't really know him super well. He wasn't a huge name.
Not another teen movie.
I mean, I never fucking watched that, so I think there's an advantage to casting an unknown as a hero, and it is interesting now that you mentioned that to see how The Rock will integrate into that.
And I mean, that's because we're talking about the idea of rebuilding a brand. Right now that we have the chance, well, not we, because I'm Team Marvel. Let's get that shit straight. But the idea, I spit on you. The idea that we're rebuilding a brand, which is DC, because right now Marvel basically is kind of on the back burner because we're building on phase 5, 4. I don't know. Vic knows all that shit.
I'm not hyped. That's all I know, except for Spider-Man.
But we're rebuilding a brand while Marvel is down. You know, potentially, could we blow our wad just, you know, building the idea of this movie on The Rock? But that's just based on Black Adam. As a comic book fan, I appreciate the idea of including characters that are lesser known, like the JSA, unless you're into the fucking movies. You know what I mean? Aside from that, in addition to the Batman and Black Adam, DC also announced
It's African American Adam. Let's not get canceled here.
It's who you calling Black Adam?
No, is it? Sorry, one thing that's fucking me here. Is it Adam like the molecule or like, hey Adam, how are you doing today?
Which Adam? That's Black Adam. Black Adam over there.
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, you mean normal Adam? No, Black Adam. Like,
African American Adam, or Latino Latinx Adam.
Yeah. Get the fuck out. You know what's fucking well, okay, hold on, because that's dude. We'll just keep jumping on fucking.
I don't even, dude. We're way off. It's like we were heading to fucking L.A. and somehow we're in Wisconsin. Oh dear, look at the big ball of cheese there. You're like, what the fuck? We're way off course.
But before, I don't even know where we were, like way before. But what got us to this? But anyway, DC also announced James Gunn heading the Suicide Squad reboot. Which in itself sounds really fucking cool, because I feel like that is going to be basically what Guardians was to Marvel when it dropped. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where you can say, let's pick up the ball and run with it at this point, because we have someone like James Gunn who has proven that he makes fucking good movies. Yeah. Even outside of Marvel, when Marvel dropped him and then he went and made other fucking superhero movie that was goddamn Brightburn. But it was a horror movie. It was basically the origin story of Superman, but as a horror movie. You know, where you don't have a kid using his powers for good. He's using him for fucking evil, because he's realizing, I'm the man here, because, you know. Yeah. No one can stop him. But James Gunn is now heading the revival of Suicide Squad, but it's breaking down into parts because of the cast. There's like a Suicide Squad A that we'll start with in the movie. And then, and that's in the Vietnam era, and then it'll build into Suicide Squad B, which assumingly is like, you know, a different time that, you know, we end up touching back on. You know, we reassemble the fucking gang and we're going back in, but with a new Suicide Squad. Also, aside from that, the villain that they announced, well, they didn't officially announce it, but it's like, it's kind of out there in the dirt sheets if you look around. The villain is a lesser known villain by the name of Starro. Starro in itself is a villain that appeared in Batman the Brave and the Bold, who is an intergalactic starfish who basically hatches little parasites of himself.
Intergalactic starfish.
Starfish. Stick with me.
Okay.
It's an intergalactic starfish. Multiplies, makes little parasites of himself that attach onto people that make drones. Basically, you become a drone. Okay. And he controls you and he fucks everything up.
All right.
Starro.
Fucking starfish from space named Starro.
Go and look it up.
That's
do your
like
homework. Do your homework, kids. Moving away from DC. Well, so that's where DC is at the moment. Yeah. Okay. Because we really don't know where the fuck else they're going to go other than what was announced at, you know, their little fan event. But, you know, touching back on the whole idea of Marvel kind of being at the wayside right now. Marvel, other than Eternals, which I'm like, whatever. I'm, you know, I don't even know what to think about it. With the material that we have currently, and I was talking to this, I was talking to Vic about this. Ultimately, we can have, if you're like pretty deep in the Marvel universe, we can have Secret Wars, because in Captain Marvel, we find out that Sam Jack was over here, you know, with the in the Skrull ship taking over.
Yeah, and Secret Wars is like the alien race that's been on Earth, right? Something like that.
It's the Skrull invasion.
Yeah, Skrull invasion.
But Secret Wars also is you introduce villains like MODOK, and we're having
MODOK County, California, Trump country. Honestly, that's a really scary villain.
Honestly, dude, we could have fucking Donald Trump play MODOK. That would be great. That would be fucking amazing. Just a big floating head.
Will they be able to film, or will they keep getting delayed because of COVID?
That's the big issue that everybody is talking about. Is COVID ultimately going to be a deciding factor in how we start rolling out the fucking phases and the different movies that are coming out, you know? And this is movies in fucking general, because, like, is there now going to have to be a certain system in place that we have to abide by to, you know, start getting these movies rolling? Based on what we know how to do with movies and what we don't know how to do with movies, what we don't do so good at, do you think we'll end up seeing... like kind of a revamping of trying to remake live action anime movies?
That is very interesting.
Now that we have the technology. Well, it's not even technology, bro. It's fucking writing.
It's writing, yeah.
It's writing.
There's no fucking excuse for that godforsaken Dragon Ball movie. How the fuck is Goku a white kid in high school? Fucking, but Grandpa Gohan's still around, but then here comes Piccolo, and Piccolo looks like he's got fucking green dildos for ears, and Bulma's fucking... It's a god-awful mess. It's writing, it's casting, it's production. It's you can have a kick-ass live-action anime movie.
You could find fucking amazing fan films online that do, like, the series total justice. And then the movies that come out, Last Airbender.
Oh, God.
Fucking shit. M. Night Shyamalan.
Fuck you. Even if you do chew Big Red, fuck you.
What was the plot twist? It was a piece of shit.
Fuck that guy.
But,
sorry, one more fuck you, because that's how much he fucking sucks.
At that, when are we going to start making video game-based movies? You know, there was supposed to be a Legend of Zelda movie that was made a long time ago.
I think books you can make movies out of, because it's a storyline. It's writing. There's a story there. That's something you can make a film off of, or a show. But when it comes to live action adaptions of some other stories, like animes or like video games, I think there's certain aspects of those kinds of entertainments or those kinds of medias that don't translate well into live action film. Anime has a lot of like for example, Attack on Titan. How would you make a live action movie of that where they're using the ODM gear? I know Japan, I haven't watched it, so I don't know how good it is.
They're not good.
Exactly. So, you know, how are you going to make a live action of that? Or how are you going to make a live action of Dragon Ball Z without it looking cheesy, because you have this giant blue Kamehameha wave or spirit bomb? You know, in a cartoon it makes sense, you know, bright colors, bright pals, whatever. But in a movie, putting it in the real world, it seems kind of silly. I think it's just hard. The one that would be passable maybe might be Avatar: The Last Airbender. It just depends on the actual story and what are we bringing into the real world.
Well, I know Netflix was slated to make a live-action Last Airbender show, a series.
I was excited for that.
But the writers from the actual Avatar show dropped out of that team. So I don't know if you just pick up the ball and you have someone else who's familiar with the source material and then you move from there, or if you just fucking drop it at that. Because honestly, it's like to take on something like that, and then what if it's just shit, you know?
Yeah.
And Netflix is pretty, you know, trial tested in dropping fucking series.
Oh yeah.
You know, like if they're not getting the results that they want, they're done. You know?
Even if they're getting the results they want, sometimes they still cancel shows.
Sometimes they do. They just drop shows. Like Sabrina. It's a good show.
Sabrina?
Yeah.
Like the teenage witch one?
Well, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
The horror, you know, the horror.
Yeah, no,
series.
there's a lot of shows on Netflix that get dropped way too early. That's why I'm really glad that The Last Kingdom got another one. Check it out. Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
Better than, well, I don't know. I'm just on a hype over it still, but I would say it competes with Game of Thrones. I have yet to see the ending because it hasn't ended yet, but I think if you really enjoyed Game of Thrones and are still let down by that ending, check out The Last Kingdom.
Well, see, it's funny that you bring up Game of Thrones because of source material anyway, that's easily translatable. I feel like a lot of subject matter that is like medieval air quotes based much like The Witcher, much like Last Kingdom, much like Vikings. We can do a lot with that. Like, we're really good about making series based on that kind of subject matter.
I have a book that I'm writing that's set in that time frame. So hopefully, Netflix, are you listening? I got a kick-ass story coming out for you in like 2 years.
Also, side note on that, kick-ass story, listen or read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. Fucking dope.
Sounds good. I'll check it out.
Fucking dope. Also, Neil Gaiman's Coraline. But we're really good about translating shows that have to do within like the medieval times.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of The Witcher.
Yeah.
And I read the book series. I have the entire Audible series as well. I thoroughly enjoy the lore and, you know, the ins and outs of the whole universe. Much like in comparison to The Lord of the Rings, like the works of J.R.R. Tolkien, I love that the entire lore of Lord of the Rings. Much like they're supposed to make a Silmarillion show. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
It's been in the works from Amazon Prime for ages.
Forever. But it's like
they paid like $2 billion for the rights.
I think it's too difficult. A big example of that is Lord of the Rings. There's a character by the name of Tom Bombadil, which was originally supposed to be in, I believe, Fellowship. I think Fellowship. That or
Hobbit.
No, he's mentioned in The Hobbit. He's also mentioned in Silmarillion as well, but I think he was mentioned in Two Towers, but I don't know. But Tom Bombadil is a character who, you know, when they're trying to look for someone to carry the Ring of Power, they say, what about Tom Bombadil? And in a nutshell, they're like, Tom Bombadil is of a different plane of existence. Like he's neither here nor there. You know, and when they describe him, they're like, Tom Bombadil simply is. Because he's an all-encompassing figure that they were like, if you were to give him the Ring of Power, he just doesn't care. Because it's not within his realm of, like, living. That he'd be like, see ya, throw it away. Let me just set it down and walk away because I don't give a fuck.
Like when a customer walks into my store and tells me my phone's not working.
You're like, I'm out of here.
I don't give a fuck, Keisha.
Got a blast. But when Peter Jackson made The Lord of the Rings, he was like, I want to add Tom Bombadil. And then after writing just a whole scene up for him, people were like, it's not going to work because no one's going to understand fucking who the fuck this guy is. It's not going to fit in the story. They couldn't even fit it into the deleted scenes. They were like, it just doesn't work. And
that sounds like a Mexican to me, Javier.
It doesn't work. I feel like things like that, just like something like similarity, is just too complicated to translate. But The Witcher, I feel like it's like something like The Witcher is fantasy enough to where you can translate a lot of it. If you read the books, there's a lot of scenes that you're reading that you're like, fuck, this would be nuts to see it translated into like film. But also it's like, would it turn out as good as it sounds, you know? Like reading it, would that translate well enough from like your head, the mental image, like to screen? I don't fucking know.
And and that's a good thing that you touch on, because some books or some source material also depends on how you adapt it. A movie might be not the best choice, but a show gives you more time to draw it out. And then if it's a show, is it live action, or how about something no one talks about, animated? Making animated shows out of books. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, they're more for kids. You know, I read them in middle school, but I still read them again, and I enjoy them. And I would love to see an adaptation of it, but the live action movies were awful. They weren't on point with the original story, and it's kind of hard to do so in some of those aspects. And I'm thinking it'd make a great animated show. It'd make a great cartoon or CGI, whatever, you know. And instead of having to worry about how are we going to make this work in real life.
To touch on that, if you were to adapt Harry Potter into an animated series, I think it'd be really good. Only because I'm on Goblet of Fire right now. you want to talk about the Triwizard Cup? If the school year started in August, the fucking Bulgarians and Batons, they didn't show up till fucking October.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Crumb had a fucking cold. He was sick. Like Bo Battens was boys and girls. The same thing as other stupid fucking school, fucking Kazakhstan high school. They had boys and girls.
Durmstrang.
When they show up, they have boys and girls attending this fucking school. They're like, oh, we have like some of the best kids that we have. What the fuck? If you were to adapt that, there's so many small fucking details
Dobby.
Dobby's
missing from so much of the films.
You could hang just like nitpick certain little fucking details. Like if you were to make it into just a long form
series,
animated series, not even you don't have to do it fucking live action. Honestly, I would rather see it animated so that you could get like a full encompass vision of what you're reading. So much better.
I would love it, and I think we're gonna get a reboot of Harry Potter in our lifetimes.
Well, I know they're slated for like the cast is gonna come back for something.
Well, they keep doing like these. I'm sorry, I love Harry Potter and the whole Wizarding world. I'm not the biggest fan of the Fantastic Beasts films. They're very slow.
Son of a bitch.
I love Johnny Depp, but the movies themselves, the storylines, it just feels like how much of the world can we cram in here? How many Easter eggs can we cram in here? How much Harry Potter shit can we cram in here so that we can sell it more? And it doesn't do the story justice. Yeah. But anyways, I agree that a series would be fantastic, animated or live action, because they are really long books. 1 and 2 are shorter, 3 gets longer. By the time you get to 4, you're reading like 5 fucking books in one because they're so long. And I would love to see all the little details. Like, you don't know, if you just watch the movies, you still get a good understanding. I feel like Harry Potter films did a decent job of interpreting the films for what they could do with that time. But like you see, the 7th book was turned into 2 films, and you got so much more in that.
You didn't have to. Biggest example of the Deathly Hallows. If you go and you listen to Kevin Smith has a podcast called Fat Man Beyond with a writer named Mark Bernardin. They got into a conversation about translating movie literature to film. And they broke down, Mark Bernardin's a really good fucking writer. He broke down the fact that over quarantine, he watched the Harry Potter movies, and he was, like making a critical analysis of all the movies. And he broke down Deathly Hallows, and he was like, you did not have to, because then he read the books as well in comparison. And he's like, the amount of detail, the amount of extra exposition that was stretched into Deathly Hallows 1 and 2, you didn't have to have a lot of that. You had about like 5 hours of fucking just walking through the forest for no reason that you didn't need. That took away from the movie ultimately, because there was other subject matter that you could have used to just make one movie. Honestly, like if you're gonna make it just one like 3-hour movie or something, you could have done that, as opposed to 2 movies that really didn't have it.
And the biggest reason they did it for sure is money. They're like, we're not ready to say goodbye to Harry Potter. Let's stretch this out a little bit longer. And this was before books and stuff like that were being turned into shows.
Well, didn't they do that with Hunger Games?
What?
Or am I wrong? Was there a Hunger Games movie that was broken down into 1 and 2?
Yeah, the Mockingjay. Same thing, money. Didn't have to be.
I was going to say
Mockingjay was the same. Yeah, I read the books.
Okay. So was that necessary? From your point of view, from someone who read the books, was that necessary?
No, because Mockingjay is the same length as the first 2 books. They're all pretty similar in length. And you were able to get 1 and 2 all in one film. So Mockingjay, you could have done the same thing. It's just money. I think a lot of these franchises would benefit from being shows, because you don't have to worry about what has to get cut in this movie. You can get all the content and, whatever it takes in those episodes. So if you think about it, imagine if Game of Thrones became movies. Well, now you got 1 book getting turned into a 3-hour movie instead of 1 book getting turned into a 10-hour season. I think shows are a better interpretation of books because they're more long form and books tend to be more long form. Harry Potter as a show would be great because if you think about it, Deathly Hallows being a two-parter, Order of the Phoenix and Goblet of Fire were longer than Deathly Hallows. If you're going to two-part a movie, two-part Order of the Phoenix or two-part Goblet of Fire, but they don't need to be, honestly, because then where would you cut the first part off? Like, it's awkward. It's just, you're right, it wasn't necessary.
Well, and, I mean, in addition to that, as far as, like, translating literature to film, or, you know, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fuck up. But there's so many, like, small details that are so necessary, I feel, anyway. And this is because I'm going back and rereading a lot of this stuff as an adult where I can really, like, get a better grasp of it. There's so much, like, if you were to translate it to a series, there's transition points in the books. You talk about, you know, like, Prisoner of Azkaban ending. Oh, you know, my school year was great, but, I met my godfather. What? And then it's like Goblet of Fire, and it's like, hey, I know your stupid friends were going to pick you up this summer because we don't want you here, but, you know, you better behave or whatever. And he's like, yeah, let's call my godfather. What? And here we're into the fucking beginning of Goblet of Fire, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many, like, minute details that make up, like, it makes it whole. You know what I'm saying? And that's easily, like, season 1, season 2, season 3. We have points of reference for that.
Yeah.
And even then, like, in my head, but I'm real fucked up. There's so much, like, fantastical imagery and, like, the whimsy and like of the story of, like, what you're seeing, like the idea of Harry being in Ron's garden and kicking fucking gnomes or spinning them around and throwing them over a wall and shit to get them lost. You could put that in a series.
Playing Quidditch at the Burrow for fun, like, it's not just something that you play in school. It's like football. You know, you can toss a football around in your backyard, and you know, we muggles do that. You know, it's in the wizarding world. You pick up your old ass broom, and you're flying around in your backyard playing Quidditch.
The idea of like Ron and Arthur calling Harry's the Dursleys' house. I mean, like, hi, we're calling for Harry. Like,
That'd be so funny.
That'd be so
I'd
fucking
love to
cool.
see that.
That'd be great. The
Dumbledore visiting the Dursleys himself in, I think it's Half-Blood Prince.
Like, a lot of that could be translated so fucking well, and I mean, not to sound like real pretentious, but, like, so beautifully.
Yeah.
You know, like, artistically, you can start it, like, again, like, with so much whimsy, the artistry of it, of illustrating it, but then make it so fucking dark.
Yeah.
Like, you could get to certain points that are just real fucking gritty. Like, especially when
Harry's mental breakdowns.
Or when you get to, like, Chamber of Secrets and where showing, like, oh, you know, it started with this person and then it started with this person. And you get to, like, where they introduce the basilisk and stuff.
Show Moaning Myrtle getting killed.
Showing a flashback of Peter Pettigrew fucking blowing himself up, you know, to hide, to disappear, you know. And
more flashbacks with Harry's parents.
Showing Sirius, like, you know, having his fucking breakdown over Harry's parents' death and shit. You know, getting away because ditching his bike and fucking leaving.
Yes, I am absolutely 100% ready to get hurt again.
That shit's so fucking cool, dude. And Peeves.
I fucking love Peeves. Anytime I watch Sorcerer's Stone, I'll be like, that's Peeves.
It's like, you could do a lot of that. A lot of that could translate very well. And you could say the same thing about The Hobbit. I think or, you know, The Lord of the Rings in general. But I feel like it's just because creatively, like, I want to feel fulfilled in a way.
Yeah.
That I would love to see a lot of that shit just animated. Like, I think we're getting a Witcher animated, maybe not a series, but like a movie.
Yeah.
At some point. And I'm all for that.
It's, you know, to kind of wrap up the whole topic of this, we're heading into uncharted territory before, like, you know, even circling back to the beginning. Nerd culture wasn't accepted. They didn't make too many, you know, nerdy movies because they didn't know how profitable they would be. We're stepping into territory now where, you know, books were turned into movies. They weren't sure how it would work out. You had some flops, series that didn't get finished. We're looking at you, Divergent. And then you have...
I was never into it.
And then you have book series that took off and really fucking succeeded. Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Twilight, as bad as the reputation that they have, financially were a success, marketably were a success. Now you're starting to get, hey, someone thought, let's turn these things into shows. And now the shows are starting to succeed. And a lot of fans, I think, feel more fulfilled with shows, kind of what we're talking about. And I think we're going to start to see less movie franchises and COVID influencing trips to the movies and streaming platforms becoming more prominent. People cutting cable, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, all competing with each other to have the best originals. I think you're definitely seeing the rise of literature turning into shows instead of movies. And I think it's for the better. And I'm excited to see not just live action, but for people to start taking the step into animated shows as well.
I agree. I think it's definitely the basically just the idea of fulfillment.
Yeah.
You want to be fulfilled by what you're watching, and with movies there is a clear cut between this is a movie and it should stand alone, and here it is, and it presents itself in a way that's short form. You're like, wow, hey, that was a great hour, 2 hours that I just filled. Cool. But then there are certain subjects and certain movies, certain brands, genres that it's like, I need more.
Yeah.
And but I think you're right. I think going forward, because we're now in the market of series and of streaming services and different networks, different platforms anyway, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. I do totally agree with you that I think we will start seeing a lot more of that because, first of all, it makes more money, obviously. And people will subscribe to it, but it gives people what they want, so that we'll fucking keep coming back if it's good.
Everyone's looking for the next Game of Thrones. The ending sucked because the books weren't finished, but there's a lot of great series out there that are completed, and they saw how insanely popular it got, and everyone's looking for that next big show to keep people talking for years, and not just during the movie being in theaters, but a season lasts a long time, so they want hype to last for 3 or 4 months on a show, and then the hype kind of dies down, then you have teasers and the show comes back and people keep coming back for more. They're looking for more of that success, and I think we're all going to benefit from that.
I think so, especially with the idea of binging.
Oh yeah.
Those motherfuckers market on binging. They're like, hey, you could watch this tonight if you want.
Yeah. You don't need sleep. Drink that second bang.
So as we start to wind down and we start wrapping this up, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the episode. We have enough fuel in the fucking tank to just go on nerd shit, which could easily go on for far longer, but we got to start wrapping up. I do think it would be fun for one question.
All right.
Alrighty. So as we
for the one time, as the kids say.
Let's see.
And we just started talking about a lot of nerd stuff, kind of more commentary. We had some comedy in there a little bit, but not too much. It was more of a fun than a funny episode. So let's get a good question here. Let's see if we can get some zingers in there.
What slogan or jingle got stuck in your head forever?
O'Reilly's
Auto Parts.
Jingle that gets stuck in my head the most. Let's see here. I guess it would be sticking with vehicles. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Or Nationwide is on your side. Chicken parm, you taste so good.
I don't, it's not a slogan or a jingle, but if you've ever seen The Sandlot, there's a scene where Ham is in the catcher's position, and he's like he's talking shit to the opposing team, and he goes, "If you were a dog, I'd shave your butt and teach you to walk backwards." That's fucking stuck with me since I was a kid, dude. It's one of those things. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever worn?
Embarrassing thing I've ever what?
Ever worn.
Worn?
Worn.
worn. Most embarrassing thing that I have ever worn. I was 2 years old or younger. I don't remember it, but there's photos of it, and it has haunted me to this day. Your mother-in-law put me in a dress, and everyone talks about me wearing dresses. It's cool now. It's acceptable now, so I guess it's not too bad now, but growing up, got teased hardcore for wearing a dress that I didn't even have a choice in the matter of.
I would say, and it's a fucking horror story of mine. I'll make it real short. When I was a kid, for Halloween, we used to do a Halloween parade at the school. And every year, I had the habit of either being a Power Ranger or a ninja. One year, I was a ninja. And it's a fucking horror story because my mom, it's something that sticks in my mom's head, and she loves to bring it up to people. I was a real fat kid when I was little. A kid yelled out from across the playground, "Hey, look at that fat ninja!" And
Beverly Hills Ninja, that's how you got to tell him.
And my mom was like my chaperone for that day, and she ran up and she was like, "Hey, he's not a fat ninja. He's just chunky." I was yelled at by another fat kid. And it haunts me to this day. If I could find that motherfucker, I would fuck his ass up. I would piece his ass up so fucking quick in front of his kids.
You know what? Real quick, super quick. I have to change my answer because you reminded me. Also Halloween, in the height of my Yu-Gi-Oh obsession. So also circling back to the beginning.
Were you Yugi?
I was fucking Yugi, but I was fucking fat. This is like me at my fattest, elementary school. Of course, it's at the height of my Yu-Gi-Oh obsession. I'm at my fattest. There's one Yu-Gi-Oh costume left, and it has a little plastic wig. So I'm like, I gotta fucking have it, right? It's a size medium. I was not a medium, but dude, I wanted it. I wanted to be Yugi so bad.
In Halloween costumes, you're never a medium.
So I wanted to be Yugi so fucking bad. I got the fucking costume. I wore the fucking costume. Luckily that year it rained, so it saved me the embarrassment of going out in public. But we had a Christmas party then at that point at the Nomad's house. Well, I think it was the Nomad's house. We were all getting together there, had a few games. I think there's a photo of me in that costume where that Yugi outfit looks like a crop top. And I'm fucking Yugi. Oh, god damn. I'm fucking fat. But yeah, that's going to be the most embarrassing one I wore.
So funny. And then to wrap it up, if someone asked you to give them a random piece of advice, what would you say?
I'll have you answer that first,
if I may. And this is a shout out to the Nomad. If worms had gats, birds be tripping. It's the number one piece of advice that I try to give people when I remember it.
I don't even know what that fucking means, but
it's the whole point.
It sounds fucking incredible.
If worms had gats, birds be tripping.
Advice to give. There's no advice. Just don't give a fuck. Just do you. No one's perfect. You're going to make fucking mistakes. So just fucking, if you want to do something, just fucking send it.
Send it.
Just fucking send it.
Send
it. There you go.
Send it 2020. Dadless Podcast. Send it. So again, this was fun. We got on a big long tangent about nerd shit, and we wrapped up with some quick questions. Thank you to Poddex. We're utilizing you guys a lot, and we probably will be in the future.
Just like I utilized the Mexicans to build the wall.
Shout out to the Nomad. Shout out to the boy. Hopefully at some point we can get with them. We have some ideas about trying to make some actual videos so you can see our fucking faces. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy it. I am the Elder. This is Jose the Dad, the great communicator.
Jose the Dad.
And the Elder. We are out. Thank you, sir.
Adios.
See ya.
Who are you, really?
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Come for me, Gmork! I am a traitor!
You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed.
Offer me everything I ask for. Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch. I am your father.
That's my son! This is my boy! My boy!
That's impossible!
You're laughing. Someone was killed today because of what you did.
I know. How about another joke, Murray?
Fuck you.
None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
Instead of my daughter war, I understand your pain.
Actually, when we're all tickled to hear you say that.
You shall have your revenge. Iron Man.
Good night. And always remember, that's